Alright, so we're going to move on to the next lesson where we're going to be using external images in our projects. So we're going to go right over to courses and head back to the template, to the table of contents area. So we're on to HTML2 external images. There's two ways to look at the instructions. If we take a look at the PDF, we'll see a link to get us to start our project, as well as the instructions. In the body tag, right underneath the start of the body tag, we'll be creating just the header with a simple H2 and P tag inside of it. After that, we'll be creating a section with a specific ID. We'll use that later in the JavaScript. And a new tag called an article tag, which is also just a holder of information. And inside of that, an image src tag and a Google image, which we're going to use, followed by an H3 and an H4. We're going to repeat that a couple times so it's on the page several times. And then just to add a little bit of complexity, we're going to have a little bit of JavaScript at the end, just turning one of our elements red on page load. So let's go back to our hub here and open up our glitch template as we always do. First thing we're going to do is remix to edit so we can have our own copy. We are then going to rename our project to something we can remember. In this case, I'm going to call it Web Dev LR 2. Whatever it is, you can clean it up later. Sometimes you can use the same convention so everything is more professional, like webdev-1-your name, and then keep it the same every time and everything will be organized, but you can take a look at that later in your profile section. Let's get started with the project. So if you want to look a video to look over the tabs, the tags that we're going to use and all the different pieces of this project, you can always go to the tutorial video or the PDF. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to, in our index.html file, create the following. So I give myself a second screen over here just so I could see the instructions. And let's create our header. We go over to our index.html file and we're going to create our header. Double space, indent inside, and we're going to create an H2, popular books. Now eventually when we have our pictures and our texts and our multiple pictures, our whole setup, you can go back in and change these popular book titles to a real book and then find that picture the way I'm going to show you and make everything look better, but I'm just going to use the test text that we're going to use as part of just the assignment. But you can go back and make it a little bit prettier and more specific later on. Next, we're going to create a P tag, and on the inside of that, we're going to write a bit of copy. Books that will downloaded. All right, let's take a look at how that looks. All right, we got our H tag, our H2 tag, and our P tag. Let's see what's next in our lesson. Grab content from Google, any book, to make our new section. Remember, you can be specific later on. And we're going to create a section with an article tag and an image tag. So let's just write out what we have right here. So right down here, create our section tag. We'll come back and edit it in a minute. Then we're going to create our article tag. Remember, always space twice so you can get inside of that element if we're embedding, which we are in this case. Indent once, get our image tag, which is self-closing, so it doesn't need a closing tag. Oh, we have an error here. It's probably just wants the URL. I'm going to leave that there for now. And then an H3 with title of book and an H4 with author of book. With our closing article or closing section, looks like we're good there. And the next step is how to actually grab an image, because we need something to put in here. Okay, so in our instructions, I have a step-by-step on how to do it. I'm going to read them out real quick, and then I'm going to do them live on the video. We're going to search for an image on Google Images. And when we click that image, we should see this view open up, kind of a black background and a little bit of information on the image. That's where we're in the right place, but do not grab the URL here. We are going to click or right-click on our picture. So this menu comes up. Hit View Image to get it by itself, and then take this SRC. Let's see that live now. So go over to Google, and I'm going to type in puppy. I'm going to hit the images, and I see this right here, and I'm going to click it. We see the view come up, and now right click and hit View Image. Do not grab this link here. This will not work. This link is a link to this full page. What we want is a link that leads directly to the image. One way to do that, one of many ways to do that, is to right click on the image and hit View Image to isolate the image. What you want to see is your picture with nothing in the background, and then this URL is what you need to put in your image SRC tag. Take a look at those instructions, watch this video a couple times. Eventually it'll become second nature that this is how we grab our images from the web. I'm going to copy that, go back into our section, into our index.html file, and throw that value right there. All right, let's take a look at what we have so far. We have our H2, our P tag, our image tag, and then the title of the book and the author of the book. The next part of the lesson is to copy and paste all the article tags inside of the section and replicate them 3 times. This one's tricky, so don't get lost. We want to replicate this article 3 times and only have the one section. So I'll give a lot of space in between. I'm going to copy everything in here. Paste, paste, fix, fix. So you should see something like this. One full long section with 1 article, 2 articles, 3 articles, and you can change each of these pictures to something better, and each one of these titles to actual books, and maybe even the picture of the book. So let's see what we have now. Picture, picture, picture. Pretty good. And there's one last bit of complexity at the end, and here we might as well just copy and paste, because this is JavaScript and we're not going to get into for a couple lessons. So what we're doing is we're throwing in a script tag at the bottom of our HTML document to make one change. And what we're going to do, I'm going to walk through it, but I'm not going to explain it until later. We are going to tell the script, grab the document, which is our entire HTML document, and get an element that has an ID of website. Now remember that step I skipped before? I'm going to put it in right now. Oops. This first section tag, I'm going to give it an ID, which is just a way to target specific elements. I'm going to call this one website. So now it's going to look for an ID that is the name of website, and it's going to access the style attribute of that element, and it's going to change the color from its default, which right now is black, to red. So let's just copy this, and we're going to put it right here. And let's just see what change that is. Okay, so we're looking on our document for an element that has an ID of website, and we're going to change the color to red. So it should be, this first one should be red now. Let's take a look. Nothing. That is because of a small typo. So watch out for these, okay? Whenever you might see them in future lessons, or perhaps even in the wild, this is not the correct quotation mark. Because this document has been translated from a Word document, it just has the wrong quotation mark. So we're going to have to delete that and just type it again. You see how this quotation is more straight and the inside value glows yellow? Those are both good signs. Now it knows which element it's going to look for, and it can read that ID of website more clearly, or at all. And now it should be red. Let's take a look. Still nothing. Huh. What is wrong? These quotation marks are also incorrect. This is just part of the problems with using a Word document to a PDF to bring it to glitch. And these are the kind of things that you can debug and you'll be able to notice as you get better. That's only going to be good advice if it actually works when I do this. So let's hope that it does. So we had our ID fixed, but we didn't have our property fixed. They both had the same quotation mark error. Let's take a look now. Nothing. Damn. Get element by ID. This L is uppercase. I don't know. Let's see. Thank you. Now all of our elements are red. Because the section that has the ID of website is all 3 articles therein. If I were to remove this ID and place it on an element that only happens once in our document, like this particular article here, only this one will be red. And there we can see that only that one is red. So we learned a little bit about debugging. We learned a little bit about live errors that happen when you're coding. We learned a little bit about the how fickle HTML documents can be when it comes to these characters. And we learned how to find an image, use it, get the correct URL, and use it in our documents. In the next lesson, we're going to be going into tables very briefly and forms after that. Then we're going to start working on actually styling our projects using the CSS file, and then eventually JavaScript. But this is kind of a combination of all 3 in one. So see you at the next one.